Thank you. With the Judiciary Subcommittee seat, please come to order. Clerk will take a solemn oath to determine the presence of quorum. Quorum has been established. Next item on the agenda is procedural motion. The Senator from Greenbrier.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the rules of the Senate be adopted to govern the subcommittee and its deliberations.
All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no.
Aye.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. I declare the motion adopted.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the chair be authorized to set an agenda of items to be considered by the subcommittee from the list of bills referred to this subcommittee by the chairman of the full Judiciary Committee.
You've heard the Vice Chair's motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no.
Aye.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. I declare the motion adopted.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the staff be authorized to, as needed, make any technical corrections to the bills, resolutions, and drafts which may be brought before the subcommittee.
You've heard the Vice Chairman's motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no.
Aye.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. I declare the motion adopted.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the council be authorized to incorporate all bills or resolutions, as well as any necessary technical changes, into a committee substitute for the bill or resolution after the bill or resolution has been presented to the subcommittee, and the subcommittee has voted to report the bill or resolution and to report in lieu of the bill or resolution.
You've heard the Vice Chairman's motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no.
Aye.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. I declare the motion adopted. Due to the importance of our roles as senators and as my role as chairman of this subcommittee, it is my preference that the testimony of witnesses appearing before the subcommittee, with the exception of Senate staff and elected officials, be taken under oath. Therefore, I recognize the Vice Chairman for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that any witness appearing before the subcommittee, with the exception of Senate staff and elected officials, be administered the oath authorized by Senate Rule 28A.
You've heard the motion from the Senator from Greenbrier. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no.
Aye.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the motion adopted.
Mr. Chairman, I move that members who are physically present in their capital office be allowed to participate remotely in subcommittee meetings and hearings as though they were physically present. That such members be counted as present in determining a quorum and shall vote on every question pursuant to Senate Rule 43. The chair shall provide for simultaneous video and audio participation among all members.
You've heard the motion from the Senator from Greenbrier. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no.
Aye.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. I declare the motion adopted.
Lastly, Mr. Chairman, I move that members who have been diagnosed with COVID-19, notified of potential exposure to someone diagnosed with COVID-19, or who have been determined by a physician to be at a higher risk for developing serious complications of COVID-19, to participate remotely outside of the Capitol building in subcommittee meetings as though they were physically present. Members may vote on every question subject to Senate Rule 23.
You have heard the motion from the Senator from Greenbrier. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no.
Aye.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. I declare the motion adopted. There is a report on our desk distributed to Supreme Court Administrative Court regarding the magistrate courts and judicial workloads. You don't need to read that right now. And before we get into our bill, I'd like to introduce our staff. Our attorney is Jay Cura, and our clerk is Quentin Solomon, an intern from Marshall University. Thank you both. Next item on the agenda is the committee substitute for Senate Bill 80. Council, would you please explain the subcommittee substitute in lieu of having it read?
The subcommittee has before it the committee substitute for Senate Bill 80. This bill would amend to enact a single section code, section 16 of Article 1 in Chapter 59. The committee substitute would raise the existing witness fee, which is now $10 to $20, to the current federal rate of $40. It further increases the mileage rate for witnesses from 15 cents a mile to the state employee travel rate, which is now 58.5 cents a mile. There is a fiscal note associated with this piece of legislation. There was similar legislation in 2022 that was reported out of Senate Judiciary but died in Senate Finance. So the fiscal note attached to that 2022 piece of legislation estimated the cost associated with this at around $90,000. With that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Is there questions of our council?
Was it?
Senator from Taylor.
Yes, sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On here with these different rates, is there a way to do it though instead of putting the actual sum of $40, or, and I was trying to find if that 58 cents, the per diem, so that you're not actually putting that into the, so it's like based on if it needs to increase later, and then come back and do this again. Is that what that is?
Yeah, and we did that with respect to the mileage.
Okay, very
The
good.
mileage rate, where it just says the state mileage rate applicable to state employees, so you have its own vehicles for business travel, and that's established by the state government office. So it's baked in there, so we want to come back.
Right.
And look at that.
But that $40 one, is that based on
It's based on
The
a federal statute, and that statute.
I wasn't sure if we could cite that instead of saying $40.
Yeah, it's 28 U.S. Code Section 1821. That I guess we could specifically reference the legislation and say, as set forth in 28 U.S.C. Section 1821 B and A, incorporate that by reference into this bill.
And I don't know if that's a good idea or not. I'm just,
Yeah. I can't tell you. It's a good idea.
Senator from Capital.
Thank you. So I'm just thinking if they raise that, say they raised it to 50, I think it would have a different code assignment potentially in the federal code, and we'd be chasing that down. I'm not an expert in that area, but that's
That makes
just a guess that I'm having.
Thank you, Senator. Are there further questions from council? Is there discussion? Hearing none, are there any amendments or a motion? Hearing no amendments, the chair recognizes the vice chair.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we agree to the language of the committee substitute as amended.
We don't have an amendment, right?
There's no amendment,
Okay.
just a blanket reference.
That's okay. I'll do what you tell me. Mr. Chairman, I move that we agree to the language of the committee substitute.
The question is on agreeing to the language of the committee substitute. All those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. I declare the motion adopted. The committee substitute is agreed to. Senator from Greenbrier.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the committee substitute for Senate Bill 80 be reported to the Committee on the Judiciary with the recommendation that it do pass.
The question on the motion that the committee substitute for Senate Bill 80 be reported to the Committee on Judiciary with the recommendation to pass. All those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. I declare the motion adopted. The committee substitute will be reported. With no further business to come before the committee, the chair recognizes the vice chair for a motion. Oh, excuse me. Is there other business to come before the committee? Back up a little bit. Hearing none, with no further business to come before the committee, the chair recognizes the vice chair for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn.
All those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Continuing chair, the ayes have it. I declare the motion adopted. And that's adjourned. Thank you.
Can you have Senator Trump run his committees like this? I like this.
I want to get to
I'm
see
not
that.
going there.
All right.